Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back once again to the Bravo stream here live from the Six Major Jönköping 2022. It's just about time for us to move into our next matchup, and we are finally reaching that pivotal point of the tournament now where teams can begin to truly lock themselves into the playoffs here. In fact, one of those matches is going to be occurring right here, right now, with the Direwolves up against FaZe Clan. And meanwhile, over on the other stream, the European Wolves are going to be going up, of course, against Mirage to settle their fate as well. Stokes, let's start breaking this one down as you take a peek at the rosters.
Well, first things first, we got to talk about FaZe Clan and some of the opportunities that they have here, because there's a chance for them to lock it up right here, isn't there, John?
Yep, absolutely the case. There's a chance for them to not only move forward into the playoffs, but they can also confirm their Six Invitational attendance at the end of this game as well. So a lot on the line here. That does rely a little bit on the result, of course, of the game for the European Wolves also, but we'll talk more about that as it becomes relevant towards the tail end of the game. Aside from that, though, things have been going swimmingly for FaZe Clan so far at this LAN. Very similar situation to some of the other matches that you and I were casting earlier today, where, once again, they just need to close this one down inside of a 7-0 or a 7-1 situation, and they can confirm their berth into the playoffs.
Yes, indeed. And for FaZe Clan, as you've been saying, they are running amok of things right now. Specifically for FaZe, Souls has had a heck of a LAN right now, 1.27 rating for him, but FaZe across the board looking quite stellar here. Now, the same thing can't be said for Direwolves. They've been struggling a bit, haven't they?
Yeah, they've really been, once again, much like all of our APAC teams, right? We've been, unfortunately, the guardianship of all of these APAC teams today as well, in terms of this is our third APAC match today. So the Direwolves, we're going to have to check in with them, see how they have been doing, is at least as far as the other two teams we were casting earlier with Sandbox as well as Fury. APAC has not been looking the best right now, and now we have to see if Direwolves can give us any positive note to bring home from that region.
Yeah, a lot less APAC and a lot more APAC your bags, it seems, this LAN. So unfortunate stuff for the APAC region overall, but there's still some semblance of hope. They still have chances here, and it starts up against FaZe Clan. And it looks like we're going to have the decider be Skyscraper of all things. So this is definitely going to be an interesting affair, especially with Skyscraper now in the works.
This is going to be it, ladies and gentlemen. This is where the rubber hits the road for both of these teams. Direwolves have to know the FaZe Clan are obviously not really going to be pulling any punches here, given the fact that they can qualify here and now, not only, of course, for the playoff stage, but even for SI as well. That is going to be very, very interesting to see how this all plays out. Going into Skyscraper as well. This is quite the tricky map to be playing into. Also, a lot of complexity that builds into this one, being the newest added to the pool, of course. So a lot of additional work the Direwolves are going to need to put into it, alongside FaZe Clan, of course. FaZe Clan, though, not too worried about them. Like we've been talking to death at this point. Haven't really been missing a beat all throughout this tournament. Even as of the earlier game today, we are still seeing some serious struggles for the players on the Direwolves, except for that one win they were able to find. Doing better than Mirage, of course. Still sitting, of course, with only that single point they were claiming with a loss in overtime, but still need to be able to lock things in now, because for both the Direwolves, or rather Wolves themselves at the top here, and FaZe Clan, they can lock in their attendance at the playoffs at the end of this match.
Yes, indeed they can. And now looking over to our map and what we have to offer over there after our playoff probability, our Wolves are already set up and ready for war. 99% for the EU Wolves if they end up winning in regulation, 97 if they get an overtime win for their next bout. But we're looking at FaZe Clan here as they stare down the barrel of Direwolves. 97% if they get in reg, and if it's OT, John, well, that's going to be 90%.
Yep, pretty much. So we're seeing chances to be locked in essentially from this matchup here, as that's only going to leave that 2 and 3% or a 1 and 3 percentile chance for both Wolves and FaZe Clan to not qualify, which means it's pretty much impossible unless some crazy stuff happens with tomorrow's games there. Either way, both of these teams looking to secure things. We'll have to see if we can secure this matchup as well when hopefully gets started in just a few moments. FaZe Clan once again looking to potentially repeat their run from last year as well, for those who recall correctly when we hosted our last major at the end of last year in Sweden as well. FaZe Clan ultimately became the victors of that event, so it would be quite an interesting event if they were able to run that twice here now by doing it once again this year.
So let's start breaking down Skyscraper and start looking at some of our map pool here overall. It's day 2. We now have had enough maps to be able to kind of consider how things are going at this LAN. And for Skyscraper in particular, it's one of our 2 maps out of the pool that is offender-sided. 40% overall defensive win rate on this map. The worst site, T Karaoke, which has been chosen 6 times already this event. 7 17% win percentage for that site alone, John. Terrible. Absolutely terrible. For those considering what the other map was, by the way, that has that type of percentage, it was Chalet, which actually has a worse defensive win rate at 36%. So really be looking to these offenses on Skyscraper and see what they can possibly muster. Hopefully it's got some luster behind it. I can definitely tell you that. Especially from what we'd seen recently, or not even recently, you know, more of the mid-year for Skyscraper, where people were having a lot of problems putting their offenses together given how the new map looks.
It makes sense, too, with what we saw, of course, on this map, given the fact that, of course, we've got attacker repick now, so the attackers have that little bit of an extra boost they can give themselves in terms of utility swap out. And then you look at the map layout as well. Super hard to retake in quite a few of these sites, especially for T-Room there, where basically you're fighting for the site, and if you're giving that up, you're probably dying in the process. It's very unlikely that you're leaving that site and coming back to it at a later point to retake it there. And we play a lot of the sites on this map that way, in my opinion. That's why, again, we're seeing that pretty attacker-sided favored map stat being loosened, onto Skyscraper here. But let's not waste any more time, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get into it. A chance for FaZe Clan to lock in their SI attendance on top of making their way through into the playoffs. Let's see if they can get it done against the Direwolves, while the European Wolves over on the mainstream face off against Mirage from North America.
Well, Direwolves, we haven't seen you in a while, so Pekin, how have you been? Well, John, I can tell you he's been pretty well for the Direwolves. A 1.13 rating, 24-21 kill split right now. Not positive on his entry, but that's okay. That is at least being considered by Souffle. He's got +2, but the rest of his team kind of fallen off a cliff in that category. A -6 for Reaps and a -5 for ED. Reaps does have 4 entries, but 10 opening deaths, which is pretty rough for him, but all things considered makes quite a bit of sense. He's been on that Yana pretty often for them, trying to find those opening kills.
As of the last game, at least, Pecan did manage to go positive on entry, so we're going to pay close attention to that and see if that's going to be the case once again here and compare it quite directly to Reaps's as well, as that'll be a big part of how the Direwolves will be performing here, like especially on a map like Skyscraper, where the defenders have such harsh cutoffs and can play guardianship to the building so heavily from those very same points. Getting through the bans, though, we have completed that one. And it's going to be Montaigne along with, of course, Capital from the attacking side, interesting enough, and then we'll see Cade and Mira from the defenders get removed from play.
Now, when we look across the fence over to FaZe, they are one of only, I believe, 2. Let me double check this real quick. One of 3. Only 3 teams here that have all positive ratings across the board. That's very difficult to do, let me tell you. But in order to accomplish that, you really need to all be on the same page and hitting your stride as a team. That's what we've been seeing out of FaZe Clan here, and they're ready to show off their prowess in Rainbow Six yet again as we get into Skyscraper. It's going to be FaZe on defense, Direwolves on offense. The ban's obviously already complete, as we already are in the prep phase. Capital and Monty, of all people, gone on the offense, and Kaid and Mira will not be allowed for the defensive play.
Monty making perfect sense. We've seen that happen before, and especially given the how well Monty tends to work for the T-Room takes is also that you can see a perfect reason why you want to ban him out. But the Capital is an interesting one. Have not seen a Capital ban in quite some time. So we'll have to see the effects that rings, of course, onto FaZe Clan with him being taken out. We have, of course, seen FaZe bring him, I think, once or twice in the past. So
Cameraman's main operator right now for the entire event is Capital.
I was about to say, it's a bit of a target ban against their playstyle they've been using, so makes perfect sense in that respect. Souls, as we take a peek over towards him, of course, beginning the adventure for FaZe on defense, is fairly close to these positions, but you'll see Reaps able to defend out against the push from Bullets. He won't actually get the kill. It's going to be Jackie Wu working with him there that manages to take down Bullet. Battery attempting to be placed. A little bit of a mind game being played between Jackie Wu as well as the Bandit on the other side, currently being played by Astro. At first kill, however, does go to the Direwolves. They successfully fend off the aggression coming out from Bullet.
Yeah, and I actually just learned something recently about Astro. He actually has the 2nd most kills out of any player in the Brazilian region. Not for LAN, Paulo has the most still, and Nesk is the follow-up, but inside of the Brazilian region, 2nd most, behind Nesk actually, which pretty stellar stuff. We know how crazy of a player Astro is, and always really excited to cast FaZe when we have the opportunity. But unfortunately enough for them, they have lost Bullet early on in that interaction with Jackie Wu, which hasn't really been able to continue on. Jackie Wu was looking for the wall there, but the death dance from the utility perspective ends up working in the favor of FaZe Clan, and Jackie Wu does not want to try and dedicate any of those exothermics at risk of losing them. What a shot from Cameraman. This will take down ED.
FaZe finally getting their revenge. The earlier loss of Bullet obviously kind of set themselves up for the loss of Bullet there due to his own aggressive run out, but not able to make up for that. It still caused quite a slow follow-up from the Direwolves here, having to go throughout the rest of the map and definitely having to play heavily into the drone game here. Astro, possibly unfortunate timing as he looks away. Same to be said for Souls, really, as that cross goes in just when he was crossing that little portion of the desk. Cyber is able to trade out onto Reaps, taking him down. Be able to bring us back into a 4v3 scenario now, leaving just Jackie. And Jackie once again stepping up to the plate here as he finds another pickup. That eliminates Astro, keeping the numbers more so on an even playing field here as the Direwolves stay in the fight. Try to keep APAC alive in this tournament along the way.
Well, they needed a power hitter, and he swings all the way for home, but is it going to matter? Gotten the points, but now they actually need to win the game, or in this case, the round, right? Exothermic will go off, and CyberZera will finally make the stand that FaZe is so desperately needed, but Jackie Wu, he's got something to say. Able to make this a triple kill. He's going to need the ace in the first round. We've already seen this once here today. Are we going to see it twice with Jackie Wu? We will not. Cameraman will lay him to the sword. Well, in this case, an SMG-11 as those bullets will ring true. First round goes to FaZe. So
not the tidiest first round, of course, but it gets the job done for FaZe there. And a lot of that sloppiness, of course, is a bit of their own making, trying to go for a run at the beginning, setting themselves up for a 4v5, just making the round a little bit more difficult, but they are ultimately able to bring it under their own control, especially as they draw the players on the Direwolves closer and closer to the site. That's when we really see them come out. They did miss a couple of crosses and whatnot. That was mainly due to timings. I don't want to judge them for that too harshly, but it did kind of allow the Direwolves to at least start their executing, or what led to those few trades at the end of the round with those advanced positions they were able to sneak in and maintain for themselves.
Yeah. And you know, I think looking at it from the Direwolves perspective, they really didn't get any of the pieces that they were really looking for. You know, Jackie Wu spending all of his time outside on the balcony. He got 3 kills from there, but the rest of Direwolves try to hop inside the building, and FaZe decimates them at every single opportunity. Any intersection they found a FaZe member, well, they surely died, and we saw how that ended up turning out. I even thought the Direwolves had a little bit more of an opportunity once we jumped on board there for Jackie Wu at the very tail end, but I mean, the dust had already settled. It was him versus 3, and there's really nothing you're going to do in a situation like that.
All right, so apologies for that short tech break, ladies and gentlemen. I think
we're good to go. Yeah,
we're back in the game now.
Up, so should be fairly straightforward affair from here.
Obviously, we'll have to read those real quickly here if there was any standing issues that we weren't able to resolve, but I believe we've got it all good, and we are live with this round now. So shifting downstairs, pretty sure, for FaZe Clan here into the barbecue site. Actually, nope, we're just setting up an extension here from the looks of things, so see the rest of just a moment. Oh, we are at barbecue. Just have to go a little bit further back to see the actual sites, my bad. So moving down here for FaZe Clan, they'll be maintaining this one. They are going to bring quite a few trap operators in to be able to maintain presence around this area too. The frost mats coming out, of course, for Cameraman, and then Astro also still keeping the Banshees in play to slow down mainly that descent for Direwolves, and they reach that very open area near like the sushi bar and whatnot. They'll need to try and slow down the rest of their clear.
Yes, indeed. Souls will be on Alibi as well. And if you guys didn't see the update today, that does release some patch notes that'll be coming out later on down the line. And, well, Alibi's losing her 1.5. A little bit of a nerve to bring the MX4 Storm closer to home. But we'll see how that works. The thing about Alibi is she's just got so much utility, and she's a pretty free-flowing operator. You can always pick her, and she's going to have some form of success in the round. So I don't really see it changing her pick rate up all that much, just because the MX4 Storm's still a really good gun, even with a 1X on it.
Yep, and obviously you can pick any 1X for any gun now. As of a few patches ago, so you can still go to like your preferred 1X site. You're not going to have to obviously go away from the operators because you don't have that very clean 1.5 that tends to bolster the pick rate of quite a few operators. Big leap in coming over here for Keisha, I believe, for the players on Direwolves. They want to take quick control for themselves. Cyber will have to go for a bit of an emergency rotation over towards Karaoke to try and extend his play here, as he's now outmanned, at least in this situation. A potential 1v3 sitting before him. They don't even seem to be aware of the fact that he's still around, though. The shotgun shells that were being thrown out earlier may have made Direwolves think he rotated away from the situation completely, but he comes back, doubles down on the situation in Geisha, and is able to get the kill against Jackie. Cyber even re-peeks again to knock out Reaps as well.
He hasn't taken any damage at all, not a sliver's worth of HP gone off of Cyber. He's like a ghost right now, John. What is this? Direwolves, wake up, please, from this nightmare. CyberZera, he's gotten 3, he's looking for 4, he'll get it, give him the ace, last man's outside, peek and run for the hills, Cyber's hunting you down.
Cyber ready to hop out here to take the final duel against Pekin. He's going to try to wrap back over to the side door entry in towards office, but There's just not a lot that he can try to play into here realistically. A 1v5 with no damage done. We won't see the aces. It'll be Bullet instead to shut it down, but it will be a flawless from the members of FaZe, and literally flawless too. Not a single point of damage taken by FaZe over the course of that round.
I was just an utter misstep there from Direwolves. That was just really bad for that opener, you know, especially with the rotation being made there. Just no redrone. Nobody.
You knew he was there. You would have had to have heard those shotguns. There's no way that was far enough away to where you weren't going to be hearing that. They just had to have thought that, okay, he made those shotgun holes. He's got to be gone, right? He must have rotated back down to sight, but obviously not the case.
Yeah. It was just one of those things where they really didn't check what they were assuming, right? And that's what really got them into a lot of trouble. And that's usually what gets people in trouble with Brazilian teams as well, right? It's like, oh, they're probably going to do this, and all of a sudden somebody shows up on your doorstep and guns down two of your teammates. So, hey, man, it happens. Luckily enough for Direwolves, that mistake will be made in round 2. So still a lot of steam inside this train.
Absolutely the case. So FaZe Clan continuing to dominate regardless in the meanwhile. Off of the backs, of course, of that great play from Cyber in the previous round. Currently sitting on a 6-1 scoreline alongside the 2-0 from Cameraman also. It's only 2 rounds deep as well, so the scores are going to be a little bit low, of course, until we give these players a bit more of a chance. A few attacker repicks coming in, mostly just operators being swapped to different players for the most part. The actual comp isn't changing that much, as it does look like it's just going to be the addition of the Flores for Jackie.
All right. Well, we'll see if these Rotero drones can assist at all. Direwolves have had problems across the board, problems getting in the building, problems getting kills, problems droning. It's just a pretty problematic offense so far. So we'll see if they can try and right some of their wrongs, solve these issues, and just get a good start here. I think if they're able to get their feet under them in a certain sense of the word, then things will be at least okay going forward. I don't think the ship will be righted, but it'll at least be traveling towards the west, right? So.
No action so far here in the third round, as both teams are giving each other a healthy amount of respect. I say that, but FaZe is definitely itching at the opportunity to jump into the face of DW if it's going to make sense for them to do so. DW continues to clear things out here on the first floor as they look to get ready to transition themselves for the clear upstairs, but it's going to be a bit of a troublesome one. They do have some drone intel working their way. This nade, unfortunately, though, it is going to catch Cyber just as he jumped off of that table that I'm pretty sure would have saved his life had he stayed on top of it.
Absolutely the case, my friend. One misstep is all it takes in Rainbow Six Siege, and you will die. We see it on display here yet again, and I'm sure we'll get it before even the end of this round. Souls is holding the angle in towards this corridor. We always love to see hop-ins from on the offense. It's usually hotly contested from both ends, and you can see that from Direwolves. They want to make sure that no one can swing into this window and hold on to it for some time. Cameraman is going to lay another with the M590. Bullet not able to land the shots that he was looking for there, and Direwolves finally getting some kills under their belt as well. 2 big ones, and FaZe Clan going to be down for the count, at least for now.
Everything working out much, much better for Direwolves this time. The intel game is there, as we saw that nade kill echo through a few seconds prior. The positions are set up properly this time. FaZe are being forced to respect it because of these 2 previous things as well, and that contributes now to a third area where Direwolves are able to overwhelm players on FaZe, like we're seeing here right now in Dragon. Bullet, not long for this world, and his teammate unfortunately arriving a little bit too late for the support, so he goes down right after the first one is eliminated, and we see the first round from Direwolves. Quite a convincing one at that, nicely put together.
Very well done from Direwolves there, and you know, this thing finally has legs, so I'm really excited to see if Direwolves can put some more pieces into this offensive side here. You know, we might have lost a rook or something like that, but doesn't mean the game is over. So a lot of chess left to play. Exhibition and Office is going to be the next one for the board for FaZe Clan, and they're going to be changing a couple of things up here. Cyber's going to be onto the Alibi this time around. We're going to have mutes as well as some laser gates here for Bullet, and then the other 2 obviously making quite a bit of sense. If they're available, they're usually played Jaeger and Valkyrie here for the ride.
All right, so FaZe, their first real challenge being put in front of them now after the dropped round with a quick rotate back over towards Office. They just play directly into that site again. We'll see if this choice to go back towards it will end up working out in their favor, or if DW will be able to capitalize now upon this choice to go upstairs yet again and be able to kind of overwhelm things from FaZe Clan as they are able to carefully analyze the situation, and alongside that opening nade kill, so take up great positions to crunch out the rest of the defense from FaZe Clan, not really giving them a lot of options, and more importantly, limiting their aggressive play potential, which has been allowing for them to shut down DW instead on some of the previously played rounds. FaZe Clan, though, looking to maybe get a little bit more aggressive again here. FaZe, Astro threw out a camera. Keep in mind, of course, she has been nerfed. That camera only lasted for a few seconds here, but still, he's also going to be able to contend quite nicely against these players on rappel. He can see those lines. He can see them coming up, and they're not respecting him. Ed taking some heat from Astro, but Astro can't land the headshot here, so he backs up, immediately throws up the barricade, and says bye-bye to this situation.
Yeah, a little flustered that he couldn't get that kill, but definitely a smart setup, one that you might want to use on your home games whenever you're on Skyscraper. I love that he slapped that reinforcement up immediately after as well on the other panel there for Drum, just to keep himself safe and make sure that angle doesn't exist for Direwolves unless they want to give over some utility for it. Opponent will be detected outside, but that's all a lie, just like the cake, folks, as it's going to be an alibi clone out there that's just bugging Direwolves.
Just going to annoy them by keeping that icon in front of their face throughout the rest of this round. In the meantime, things have come to a bit of a lull. Neither team wanting to take immediate action. Direwolves wanting to play things like the last round, but they were able to utilize their intel game to take heavy capitalization upon some of the lone members of FaZe Clan, knock them out with utility, and eventually begin to overwhelm them. Pecan, though, on a little bit of his own mission right now, trying to lurk forward, see if there's an opening opportunity for a kill deeper into Drum, but won't be able to find it. Doesn't have the confidence just yet to go for that one. Feels his opponent is far too ready for the battle, so falls back down the barbecue stairs instead, and is going to begin to hold here while he waits for his teammates to make their next call.
Minute and 20 to go for Direwolves as they spin around Skyscraper. They've gotten control of the base level of the building, but not really much past that. Great presence here from FaZe across the board. They're going to be holding on to the exhibition stairs, or the house stairs, actually. This is going to be Cameraman holding on to this. We'll see Reeves try to move in, and this is the real Reeves. This is no clone. He's been tagged up a couple times here. Cameraman attempting to deal with a drone in the process. Reeves awaiting the arrival of someone up top, and so is Pecan, as he will get the peek from Drum from Astro. They're going to get 2 kills in that process there. Make it 3 as Reeves is able to take out Cameraman here on the house stairs. Is up to the 2 lone members of FaZe on site, but wow, Direwolves able to get it done. Solid positioning out on the balconies, gifts those kills over, and Direwolves the 2 rounds of their own.
Nicely played, and I believe with that second round being claimed now, it is not possible for FaZe to actually lock in playoffs anymore from this matchup. Ooh. So it's still possible for them to get the SI lock in. That much is true. They can do that either with a win in regulation outright, or if they win in overtime and the Wolves win their game going on in the other stream, under any condition, they will also qualify for SI. But I believe playoffs specifically for FaZe now are out of the cards just for this matchup, of course. They can still confirm things in their next game.
Yeah, pretty incredible that Direwolves was able to accomplish all of that without using any of their hard breach practically. I think they breached open one thing maybe. They might have gotten the single wall for the front desk area, and that was really about it. They tried to use a Selma over on the double wall there, but I mean, past that, not really coming much from that front. So Direwolves getting it through other means, and looks like we're gonna have some castle barricades slapped up downstairs. FaZe Clan set and ready for war yet again, bringing a plethora of utility.
The barricade's got that dog in him.
It does have that dog in it, doesn't it?
So we'll move forward here and take a look and see if anything special is going to come out from FaZe Clan for this round and what exactly they're going to try to carry forward towards here. It's been a bit of a rough go of it for FaZe Clan the past 2 rounds. They're having a bit of a problem making their initial mark against the Direwolves here, as their clears have been second to none here, boosted primarily again by the huge amount of intel game that they've been choosing to play into, sending 2-3 drones into the same room to really flush the whole thing out before they commit themselves to it. Definitely taking a while for these attacks to come through, but caution, I think, is warranted for the Direwolves given the way that the first 2 rounds played out when they tried to go for more direct takes.
All right, so got some mute jammers around here getting marked out, but just because you can mark it doesn't mean you can do anything about it. The Ash Charge will hopefully get that done, and it will. Very well done from Direwolves as use the window down low. That was castle barricaded there, and works out extremely well for them. So Direwolves will get the wall that they were so sorely after inside of this first minute and begin to look to other portions of the map.
Ed already on the inside. Once again, a quick insertion here. When the Direwolves are ready to make a move, they are not wasting any time in the execution of it. But it's the build-up that's taking a little bit more time, and that's where FaZe Clan may be able to find their opportunities to put a real hamper onto the Direwolves' mood here. They're seeing that push now start to come through as they take control of the karaoke and tea room area. Soon to move it, of course. Room for him as well. Cyber, though, strikes first and is able to take down the hard breach player. Jackie knocked out. Cameraman as well with the setup on the Nitro. Seems like FaZe Clan coming back alive now here on round number 5.
Well, they got the single panel up top, but that's going to be it for the hard breacher. Reaps working his way in from the complete other side of that breach, as FaZe does have control over there. And I do believe Cyber actually getting a pick from that end as well. If I know my silhouettes, that is Castle right on the other end of that. Soul's going to knock down Ed, and that's going to leave Reaps to try and stop this from being a flawless round. 4-2-1, more than likely he's just going to take his time and see if he can get some kills and use this as a pseudo timeout. But as soon as I say that, he hops to, he gets a kill. No longer a flawless round after Astro dies, but more than likely still a phase 1.
Indeed will be the case, and maybe still going to try to play this out to the best of his capability. The Nitro, he got it, but he's not going to be able to get the quick dash from Cyber up the stairs to finish him off there, as that finally puts an end to Reaps and the run from the DW inside of this round. FaZe, as such, will maintain control of their lead, but just barely at this point. Up 3-2. Let's see if they can make it 4-2 and give us that much more convincing half that we would have been led to believe we would have gotten at the start of this game.
Sorry about that. Not too yeah. After our experiences yesterday, yeah.
I did take a nap after our last few games.
Oh yeah, you were done. He was passed out on the couch in the green room, folks. I had to wake him up like 5 minutes before this game. I was like, John, are you?
I'm here, right? I'm here. I'm ready to go.
I thought we were gonna have to get the defibs out.
The energy going.
Oh yeah, but
for a nice little quick charge, you know.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. So, but this is gonna be the last round of defense here for FaZe Clan after they finally get another one under the umbrella. Looking to maintain this lead here, and they shall. They've at least made it to where they will have that tie if Direwolves is able to claim this. Direwolves' offenses initially did not look all that great, but they found themselves inside of this game, and I mean, that's a really tall ask as well. Direwolves, they're in the deep end right now. Things are pretty rough for them trying to figure out how to get out of these groups. What's up?
It's going to be something different in terms of the operator selection. Huge departure from normality in terms of what we've been seeing from the Direwolves.
That was a 4-op switch.
Yeah, 4 off switching out, everybody except Reaps changing over. That includes the Sense coming in for Jackie as well. Also going to see the Gara hook utility out for Souffle. So Direwolves are cooking up something interesting here for sure. Curious to see what it will bring to bear if we get to the execution point.
Yeah, this one's going to be goofy, and I mean that the best way possible. Like when you have Sense and Amaru, you know it's going to be like a projector into a Gara hook play or something like that. So, I mean, it's going to cause utter calamity, and I really think that it could work up against roster like FaZe. But with that being said, FaZe also comes from the land of Brazil, where a lot of those things can happen on a moment's notice. All of a sudden, you know, the entire team's on your doorstep and you're taking 5 gunfights. So probably ready for that at the same time. We're really going to have to leave this one up to the gods and see what happens.
Well, let's see how it all comes to bear. Direwolves, as you can see, ready for an all-in execute, working their way in from the balcony doorway. It works out as well. Reaps fires his first shot in the screen, going to zigzag its way through the central hallway of Karaoke and T-Room, blocking it off probably 3 to 4 times before it finally finishes off. That should give easy access to the initial T-Room door, but they won't know if players are holding the further extremity. So pretty sure DW has not been able to justify an outright push into it just yet. However, you can see the makings of a pinch really coming through here, despite FaZe's best efforts to fend it off. Jackie with a great timing play, swings out, catches Bullet with his back turn, and now the team can really start to move in, especially over here towards T-Room.
So very smart. I was really scared that they were going to be using this utility across the board for more of an execute setup, but it's for the clear instead, and it's really thrown a spanner in the works when it comes to FaZe's game plan. They haven't really known how to react. All of that action going on top floor, but nobody really there to try and assist Bullet in the department that he was working. Instead, Souls is going to fall back down and try and help with the site setup instead. They're going to add a couple of different things to this. I do believe that was a Zombie Knife going out to try and block some of the verticality that was created, but they have to worry about the horizontal play now as well on this window.
Absolutely do. Jackie, once again, primed with this drone sitting right on top of someone from FaZe. It's Astro. He's finally realized that he's going to knock that drone out. We do see another one of the green screens starting to roll out here. Jackie walking directly behind it as well. The threat lurking behind the distraction here as Souls tries to prepare to fend off some more counteraction coming back down the wood stairs in the center of the map here. Hasn't got the peak he needs to be able to take his opening shots yet, but he finally gets it. Risks to himself, however, spins it back around on that player to knock out Jackie. Jackie did claim one before going down, so we're down to a 3v2. Still in the favor of the Direwolves, and now excellently so, as Astro is the only player remaining in this situation against the 3-up from DW.
0-4 for Astro. He needs a kill, and he needs it bad, but he can't get it. Johnny downs him, but too many bodies up. Doesn't help him out, really. Beacon just now knows where he is, and the SMG-12 will be the answer.
Slowing it down just a little bit too much inside of the clutch, but a valiant attempt for FaZe Clan to try and maintain their presence inside of that round. Even better, once again, from Direwolves to keep control over a very chaotic execute. The intel game there, the comms, second to none with how well they were able to lock down that site so quickly as well, and still keep control of these pretty wild members of FaZe Clan as they can be from time to time.
Absolutely. You know, especially when you're shutting down Astro, if you get through an entire half with Astro in a game and he's 0-5, you've done something right. Like, he is just way too good at this video game to be having a scoreline like that. So tip of the cap to Direwolves on that at a minimum. Past that, I'd love to say I love that they took the traditional Rainbow Six Siege strat book, they set it on fire, and they did what they wanted to do with these op lineups and everything else. You know, no real use out of the Gara hook there, but still a really nice angle adopted. And of course the G8A1, it's still no slouch of a gun. We never really see it that often anymore, but it's still a really solid option. So great use of that, but I really like what we got out of that sense in that one.
All right, well, the sides have now flipped. It's a dead heat currently between the Direwolves and FaZe Clan. FaZe Clan showing some of those first signs of struggles so far in this tournament, but as well wanting to try and keep their record flawless to stay on top of this group. Have to work just a little bit harder to do this now, especially if they want to close this down inside of regulation, where obviously the most points are to be gained, the full thread of 3, whereas if they go to overtime, only 2 points potentially to be picked up by the winner, whether that's them or the Direwolves. The losers, at least, will still walk away with 1 point when things reach overtime. It's going to be a little bit more of a quiet start to this round, though. The Direwolves not necessarily trying to get in the faces of FaZe Clan right off of the rip, not necessarily looking like they're going to be trying to go for runouts or anything of that nature. We've got a couple open windows and things of that nature, but it's more nothing really with any meat behind it, as the Direwolves still playing to that opening default here, awaiting the first move from FaZe Clan.
Well, more than likely be spearheaded by the likes of Astro or Bullet, just given the circumstances of their operators, but Cameraman could throw something in the mix as well here, standing outside on the balcony, attempting to approach in from T, and it will be him, but Reeves quickly fells him. Very nicely done with the SMG-11. The remaining members of FaZe, but at least these two over on this end. Astro in the building, actually. FaZe more than likely needing to assist him in a certain manner. So he is the lone soul up top right now, but it's working out for him, so I guess it's working out for us.
Things do quiet down for a moment as
Reeves.
Direwolves.
He's got the ping.
They're not necessarily going to be wanting to push forward until they got this intel. The exact position of where Astro plays into. He knows where he's getting pinged from, but it's just a distraction. Reeps uses it as a moment of opportunity to leap out, execute Astro, and take back control over this area that FaZe wants so desperately as a jump-in point for their actual site execute. But with the way things are going, we may never even actually get to that point here. All the action's going on upstairs right now inside of T and Karaoke. We've got Reeps and the rest of Direwolves fending off all the pressure from FaZe Clan at the moment.
Stopping point here, but Reeps will quickly thwart that as he takes out Cyber on the window. They've been doing this dance for some time, and Reeps, my God, the amount of kills that he has been able to collect inside of these 6 rounds, 10-3-1 right now, and showing how solid of a player he is, especially with this SMG-11. Jackie Wu going to make things a little bit more difficult for Bullet, but it's going to be Souffle to top things off here. Very well done from Direwolves, and it's going to be the first time that they've had the lead as we are now working the defensive end of their Skyscraper.
Yeah, FaZe shut out here so far in the first round as they attempted to take control of T and Karaoke to use it as a top-down swing to get themselves into the actual site of Barbecue downstairs, but completely stopped in terms of their ability to take the upstairs portion just because of the one-man defense being played out there by Reeps. Beautifully done there as he takes out 2 different targets and pretty much forces FaZe Clan due to a lack of timing and just a straight execute on that first floor where it's very straightforward for Direwolves to close it down. Nicely played here to keep that control going in their favor and indeed take the lead away for a team that has otherwise looked very dominant so far in this tournament.
It really feels like FaZe got caught off guard with the reaction from Reeps in the opener there, right? They get the opening kill from Cameraman, but Reeps is immediately there to benefit. And Astro is eventually able to work it on the top floor and get a nice pick, but they still find him with some great camera placements in the ceiling from the Valkyrie. So all in all, a very strong round, very strong showcasing of Reeps on that top floor.
All All right, a few repicks coming in for FaZe Clan here, as we're actually going to see 4 out of 5 of them change things around. A couple of them are just going to be reassignments, previously picked operators going on to a new player, but we are going to see as well a few more utility swaps. Very classic lineup coming in here from FaZe Clan. Some operators we tend not to see all that much anymore, but for Souls and Cyber, they're kicking it back for us here. So we've got both the Thatcher as well as the Ashe, and then Bullet bringing someone from the new generation here in the Flores, just to be able to take out some of that utility deeper into the sites.
Yeah, a little bit of the new school clashing with the old school, but that's just Siege overall nowadays, right? We're in year 7, about to be year 8 after this next patch, which, whew, man, it's been a long time now, hasn't it? I swear I blinked and all of a sudden we're here. So, cameraman looking for this single panel that we saw Jackie Wu and their offense dealing with quite often. Looks like they'll be able to get that fairly handedly. Peeking. Gonna pre-fire this window, but immediately goes back prone. The human frost mat, it works its way into pro play every once in a while. It rears its ugly head again.
We're seeing Bullet work his way down here to try and take out that deployable shield. First one will be more than ready to be defended here by the player sitting behind. I believe once again that's going to be Reaps in position to fend all of that off, so will keep his shield alive, and this will more than likely cause some hesitation from FaZe Clan as they prepare to get ready to move into the site. They obviously have their direct access point, but in terms of being able to take out the anchor defenders, that's where things will get a little bit more difficult, as DW is still very well set up for that. We'll have to hope that these Rotero drones can find an insertion point later on, as oh no,
God,
disaster is going to strike FaZe Clan here. Souls probably accidentally knocking off the head of Cameraman here, putting them down 4v5. And in the meantime, DW didn't even have to lift a finger to make that happen.
Yep. You saw it there, and you're absolutely correct. I don't know if that's easy or who's spectating, but thank you so very much. Yes, that was actually Thatcher pre-firing through the soft paneling, and he killed the Thermite on the other end on the breach. You don't see that one every day, do you, John? Reaper's going to take down Cyber. Direwolves, have they finally split the seams of FaZe Clan? FaZe, they have to do something about this. They've got site control, but can they put a plant down? That's the real question. They have Direwolves members all around them in the House of Wolves at the current moment, and Reaps might have something to say about this. It's going to be Jackie Wu first, though. FaZe Clan, they haven't found a home for this case. They're going to have to pick it back up and attempt to go for this plant. Only down to 2 active drones across the board, and those are more than likely on flanks. Nothing they can really do that's going to give them any help, any hope up against the positioning of the Direwolves. Reaps gets another before he'll finally get taken down by Bullet, who will get 2 of his own. A 1 versus 2 with plenty of time to go. He was 1-5 before this round. He's 3-5 now. He can tie it up, give himself an even KD, and tie up the scoreboard as well if he can get the ace clutch. Has to try and play for the case, though, or does he just go for the frags? That's the real question. No stuns to his name. All he has is this rifle as he propels himself forward. Doesn't try to play for the case, and he's going to run out of time instead. Direwolves playing this to a T.
Absolutely the case, and Direwolves as well, incredibly passive with their hold, so restrained here, never giving FaZe Clan an inch. They want it, you can tell. You can see them just sitting on the outside of this breach they made right at the beginning of the round, using it as their execution kill to be able to get into the site here and snowball the rest of the round. But it snowballs the other direction, unfortunately. Instead, it's Direwolves that find the first fend off, and Reaps continues to dominate from that point forward, refusing to give FaZe that opportunity to get in. And by the time they're ready to make that play, it's down to a 2v4, where it's just not really possible.
Truly mind-boggling that in this game right now, not only is Direwolves up 5-3, but Reaps and Jackie Wu are 12-4 and 9-4. The only person that's even close to them in the entire lobby is CyberZera at 9 kills, and then it falls off a cliff, John. Actually, the follow-up is Cameraman, but he is statistically at the bottom of the board still, just due to score with, you know, how that kind of works
like
out with droning and that kind of stuff. Yeah, so just really strange, because we expect so much out of FaZe Clan. I mean, you look at any name on FaZe Clan, you could literally just pick one, and you're like, yeah, that guy's a killer, right? So it's pretty crazy that Direwolves has been able to hotly contest, and not only that, but at the moment surpass FaZe Clan here on Skyscraper.
All right, well, let's see if they can continue to do so. Just 2 rounds to go is all Direwolves need here to be able to lock in this matchup for themselves in a regulation form as well. This will prove to be a very nice boost for them to come back into this group, potentially still be able to contend for a playoff spot.
We're getting them again. Looks like we're going to have Sense back in, so we'll see how they fare. As it's been an interesting affair overall for them, hasn't it?
Yeah, it seems to work very well on this map, just because, again, the way that we were seeing Direwolves use them just in the previous round there as well. Cameraman, or specifically the players on DW that were using them previously, able to kind of just use it to bounce off of these very short hallways and create a zigzag of smokes, essentially, that if you're the defender, are you really going to want to challenge that, where you're basically just like, all right, every step I take, I've got to go through a new line of smoke, and there's a very good chance someone's just sitting there aiming at headshot level waiting for me. Like, it's just way too risky of a proposition for the defender. For the attackers, it's fine, obviously, because they know where that line's going. They know so no one's going to be there by default.
Yeah.
And by the time the line is established, yeah, they wouldn't be pushing directly against me. They've got to be crazy to do that, unless they have like a shotgun or something.
Yeah.
That's really the only time you might want to test that on the defense.
The only thing that I've ever thought about Sense when it comes to stuff like that is you only have one answer, and it's pre-fire. Shoot through the smoke, hope, pray. That's really all you have. But the good news is Siege has some pretty decent audio. There's no way to be absolutely quiet. You're always making a tiny bit of noise, so if you have a keen ear, you can definitely get those lineups through that smoke. Opening to this round, it's been real quiet for the first minute. FaZe Clan dedicated to their books, dedicated to their phones, these kids and their phones nowadays, as they'll be spinning up those drones and trying to find themselves somebody to get an opening frag on.
Been quite elusive, of course, as of these previous 2 rounds for FaZe Clan, struggling to be able to pick up the openers here and then follow that through, of course, into the actual site. We do go towards T, of course, where attackers love to play things out on this map, because of the very straightforward map control needed to be able to execute it. And when I say map control, there really isn't a whole lot you really need to be able to get in. You can very much go from the jump on the outside. You'll definitely want to establish angles in places like here that we're seeing Souls go for now towards Geisha, or even on the window rappel towards Karaoke that I believe we're going to see one member of FaZe try to contribute towards as well. But still, once you're able to line up those supporting angles, it's all on that big balcony push. Spam from Ed, but he gets a potentially even nicer nade thrown back, and Reaps, though, is not missing a beat. He's picked up another kill against Cyber, but Cameraman also strikes true for FaZe Clan, knocking out Jackie on the other side.
This game is making me emotional, John. I don't know if I can take it with all of these moments that we're having so far. It looks like we might have some more high-flying ones here in a couple of seconds as well, as one of the Direwolves members has lined themselves up on the window. Cameraman, he's having a sixth sense now. Claymore out, immediately down. Reeves not feeling it. He's going to pre-fire instead, and Cameraman very smart about this. Oh, that Claymore has actually been muted out. That is so smart. What a lineup here from Direwolves.
To go for one a little bit further back. That doesn't
even help him.
Yeah.
It literally doesn't do anything.
You can very easily still jump out here. Nitro goes in too. That'll actually deal with both of the Claymores down on the ground, so he can just hop to it as soon as Cyber decides to rotate out of here. Cyber, though, is actually going to throw down one of the set slides. Meanwhile, Pecan coming out of absolutely nowhere over by the T-room door takes him out instead. Beautiful defensive play here by the Direwolves. We are going to see a Nitro come through as well. That'll catch Souls as they finally try to move forward into T-room. Astro just goes for the leap to the inside of Karaoke, and he makes it, surprisingly. Ed goes down. Bullet strikes true as well. This round refuses to come to a close. Bullet now going to end up getting caught as well on a cross, trying to escape to the outside. The plant goes down. Astro ready for the duel, but Pecan too quick on the headshot there, and with Bullet already dead, it's going to be another successful retake from DW to get their 6th round.
Well, we can just throw that whole thing about Skyscraper being offensive favorite out the window, can't we? This is incredible stuff. APAC South, stand up. These people are killing it right now as they're taking it to FaZe Clan. Direwolves. I mean, stepping into the booth for this one, I was really seeing this as more of like a 7-3 vibe going the way of FaZe.
I was expecting a very straightforward game for FaZe coming into this one personally. I was expecting, like we said, with that stat line out there, FaZe picked up a 7-0 or 7-1, and Wolves, of course, on the other stream were able to win their game. This was going to be them going through to the playoffs nice and easy, but we got pretty much the exact opposite of that. Direwolves refused to die here, despite their, excuse the pun, dire situation.
Yeah, I think the key thing right now is that FaZe needs to be unfazed. No, we'll stop. I promise. No, the big thing for FaZe is that they're not even going to be able to be qualified for SI yet since they lose this game. So they still have that over their heads as well. So, I mean, there's a lot going into this game. At the very beginning, like you said, if FaZe won this 7-0 or 7-1, they're already booked for playoffs, same as Wolves, other Wolves, obviously. Yeah, now none of it. They get 0, no pie for them.
Nothing to be gained, unfortunately, out of this matchup with Direwolves reaching that overtime.
Oh, Souls is done with it. He's ready for war, I guess.
Wow, yeah. I was like, what are you talking about? And then I saw it over there. The blitz coming out for Souls. Let's see how it works for FaZe Clan. We've been seeing more and more blitz, of course, over the past few months. Inside of the NAL, we saw him be brought back in. He was tried out first, from my recollection, by Dark Zero like a year and a half ago, and then we slowly have started to see him bleed in for some niche scenarios.
It's actually even more time now.
Is it now?
Yeah, it's been like over 2 years.
I just remember them always trying to use it on it was like Coastline, I think, or something. They always tried to use
the famous one is Hot and Cold smoking everybody in Clubhouse.
Yeah.
That if you haven't seen that clip before, please go watch it after the game, because it is some stellar siege play, let me tell you. Peekin, he's going to take a little bit of damage, but really not enough to come home about. More than likely coming through some walls or something like that as well, at least for the initial part of his damage. Definitely at least one bullet tagging him through this barricade here as they had pre-fired. So FaZe looking to see if any of the Direwolves guys are going to peek. That timing would have been so poor there for FaZe, but fortunately enough, they have enough bodies to manage almost every single angle on this portion of the building.
Direwolves have a lot of confidence brimming here now. They know the situation that's been put before them. They want to put the fear into FaZe, and fear they will have, with Ed executing Cyber, once again giving the Direwolves an opening 5v4 advantage. Astro, Cameraman, Souls, and Poland need to make up the difference now as that peak eventually comes through. Reaps getting it again as well. Jackie will not have as much luck in his aggressive avenue, and Astro will be able to maintain against another peak from Reaps, but Souffle is there for the support, makes up the trade already. It's still a +1 advantage for the DW.
Well, 3-2 in favor of Direwolves. Souls does still have the blitz in play, and oh no, this is the worst scenario for a blitz.
Talk about this is winnable.
This is a 1 versus 3 with somebody's shield that doesn't block the entire portion of their body, so could be a little bit of an issue, but at the same time, he can also peek into angles unlike anybody else, isn't that right? And that makes it to where he can try and manage them like this. Peekin will get taken down. Souls, are you about to show off something? Is this going to be one for the history books here at potential match point for Direwolves? Moves around, has both of them in his sights, trying to pre-fire, and that is going to be all she wrote. Direwolves win 7-3 up against FaZe.
Certainly an upset given the way the rest of this tournament has gone so far. Seemed like it was going to be an easy path to the playoffs at the start of this matchup for FaZe, but it was quite the opposite. An easy path to redemption, it seems now. The Direwolves do push-ups on the desk. Direwolves are happy as heck here as they are back in the game now with a massive victory. It's 7-3 fashion over one of the most dominant teams of this event up until this point, FaZe Clan.
Yeah, one of the roughest games that I've probably ever casted from Astro. I'm hoping he can bounce back in the next one of the hallmarks for FaZe Clan. But we're going to send this to a quick break, folks. We'll be right back to break this game down.
I'm Nicholas Mortensen, but you know me as Pingu. I'm a 2-time Rainbow Six Siege World Champion and former top Rainbow Six Siege player in Pro League. Welcome to my Siege Ranked Bootcamp. We're talking 20 seconds left on the clock, you got the diffuser in hand, what do? Play the way that you're comfortable with, because you have confidence when you're in this position. That is when you're gonna be at your very best. Good luck.
Welcome back once again, ladies and gentlemen, to the desk here on the Bravo stream. The game is done here on the Bravo stream, but for the games in Group D overall, we still have an active one going on over on the main stream, of course. Be sure to tune into that. It is the European Wolves, the Yellow Wolves, or the Wolves, depending on your preference. They're going up against Mirage, and it's quite a bit spicier than you might suspect. So go ahead over, check that out as it is still live. We'll be joining them in just a few minutes once we wrap up our post-game. We need to talk about the upset that just happened here on this stream. The Direwolves, the Green Wolves.
Indeed.
have managed to best FaZe Clan and best them by a huge margin as well. Isn't that right?
It's opposite day in Group D here, apparently. The first day really not working out for Mirage or Direwolves, but here today, they've lit a fire in their bellies, and they are playing lights out. I loved this game from Direwolves, John, because really on the offensive side, you could see them find themselves. They started using some unique operator lineups and playing off of each other extremely well. Now, this got FaZe a little off kilter, especially with some of the different strategies that were implemented from Direwolves, and it was a continuation on defense, wasn't it?
Yeah, it wasn't really the easiest game for either team to start out with FaZe Clan getting themselves off to a booming start, but at a certain point, we were going back-to-back flawless rounds for either team. So both these teams constantly just reassessing themselves, saying like, all right, why did we just destroy them in the last round? Now it's literally the exact opposite's happened to us, so teams constantly being forced to go back to the drawing board. We saw as well, for instance, the Direwolves completely changing up their attacker-operator lineup for the final attack as well. A lot of variations that threw apparently FaZe Clan off, threw them off their own expectations, that allowed for the Direwolves to take full control over this matchup. Here's the stats where you can see the very impressive run that the Direwolves made. Mainly for me, it's got to be reps, taking all those confident duels, especially on the defensive side, just constantly. Again, the main theme here is FaZe second-guessing themselves and the Direwolves forcing them into that situation.
Yeah, because when you look at it from this lens, right? It was 3-3 at the half. Then you have a whole different story here, especially when you add in that little tidbit of information about Skyscraper here at LAN. It's been heavily offensive favored. Direwolves with 4 straight defenses to close out the game.
And very aggressive defenses at that, constantly having to fight for their own lives, get directly in the faces of FaZe Clan. Never letting them get comfortable, I think, was another big key part of this one. Always subverting the expectations by playing that more aggressive foot forward. When we have seen a lot of these other APAC teams that don't necessarily have a great amount of confidence to be playing into these games, they're sitting back, they're kind of waiting for their opponents to make moves, waiting for them to have a safe play to deploy towards. Here's the group standings as they currently sit, by the way. I don't believe this is going to be updated as of our other game, but I'll get clarification on that in a moment. It's looking like the Wolves at the moment here still leading the group at 8 points to themselves, 2-1 and 1 overtime victory there. Then we have FaZe Clan and the Direwolves now actually tied with 2 direct victories and 2 direct losses. Still waiting for that 4th result, of course, to come in for both Wolves and Mirage to see what this group really looks like. And that's what's going to be going on over on the A stream as they look to close out their game.
Now, if you are newer to Rainbow Six Esports and haven't seen some of our group breakdowns before, just because they have ties and points doesn't mean that they're exactly the same. We go over to that round differential, and that's where you have the difference there for Direwolves, currently -5 to FaZe's, I believe, +4. So, you know, took a couple of rounds away from FaZe, made it a little bit easier, but they got to be hopeful that these other teams can deal some more damage to them.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to close things out here for our post-game. Meanwhile, over on the Alpha stream, we got the other game for this group alive and still moving. So let's go ahead and join them and find a winner to see who is truly going to be leading in Group D.